Good morning from once. I am going to make a quick video to show you how to balance an account. We are well aware that balancing an account happens towards the end of the year, and I know that there are some classes that haven't really touched on this. However, you will be expected to balance the bank and the trading inventory accounts in your exam. Now, the first thing that's important is you need to know when to balance accounts. So it's accounts with entries on both the debit and the credit side. In other words, the bank account and the trading inventory account. They are balanced using the following steps. Okay, so I'm going to go through these 4 steps with the bank account and with the trading inventory account, and hopefully after this video you will be sorted. The first step says draw double lines in the amounts column on the debit and the credit side. Now, this might be a funny step, but if you look at your bank account, it has total receipts on the debit side and it has total payments on the credit side. Then the first thing that you do is you need to ensure that there are double lines. Usually we give those to you, but if it's not given, then you have to draw them yourself. So there you go, draw a double line and draw a double line. Okay, the reason why I leave a line open is because we have to make space for the balance. Okay, so that's step 1. As I said, usually this is given to you, but if not, then you have to ensure that they are there. Step 2 says write the total of the amounts on the biggest side in the double lines. Now I know this doesn't make sense, but let me explain it to you. Okay, so if you look at the 2 sides, the debit side and the credit side, 42,880 on the debit side is way more than 27,150 on the credit side. So I think we can all agree that the debit side is our biggest side. Then I said write the total of the biggest side. In this case, the total is 42,880 because there's nothing else with that value lying on this side. And you write that in both of the double lines. The reason why I didn't just say take the value on the plus side and write it in both double lines is because next year onwards, it will not necessarily always be the plus side that is bigger, and there won't always necessarily be just one value on the plus side. If you want to change that rule for Form 1, you can say take the value on the plus side and write it in both double lines. That's important. These two must be the same because this is the point in time where we say the account is in balance, debits equal credits. Then step 3 said determine the difference on the smaller side and call it balance CD. So if we go back to our bank account, we can see that mathematically this side makes sense. 42,880 equals 42,880. However, on the minus side or on the smaller side, we've got a problem because mathematically this doesn't make sense. 27,150 does not equal 42,880. So what you need to do is you need to take out your calculators and you need to determine the difference between the two values. So you take the total, the 42,880, and you subtract the other amount that is already lying there, the 27,150. And that answer, the 15,730, you write in that open line. Because now mathematically this is true. 27,150 plus 15,730 equals 42,880. And then what I said is you call it balance CD. Okay, so you call this value balance CD. And what that stands for is it says this is now the balance that we have worked out or calculated of our bank account. In other words, we've got 15,730 Rand left in our bank account. And the CD stands for we will carry this value down to the next month. Okay, so you will carry it down to the next month. And then the last step says, bring that balance down to the opposite side on the first of the next month and call it balance BD. So what that means is now you have to take this balance and you have to bring it down below the double lines on the opposite side. So we're going back to the plus side. And you do it on the first of next month, because you say when April 2020 starts, on the first day, the balance of our bank account that we have brought down, BD, from the previous year is this value. This value must always be the same as the balance CD. Okay, so very important, balance BD is on the beginning of the month. That's what I used to tell myself when I struggled with BD and CD. I said the B is when a month begins, okay, and CD is at the end of the month. Okay, and another thing is you don't calculate anything to get this value. You just copy and paste that value that you have calculated as the difference between this and this. Okay, let's quickly repeat this with trading inventory without explaining too much so that you can just see that you've got it. Okay, so if you look at your trading inventory accounts, I said the first step is you must ensure that there are double lines in the amounts column on both the debit and the credit side. Then step 2, as I said, take the total of the biggest side and write it in both double lines. But we said we can rewrite that step for Form 1 and say, take the value on the debit side or the plus side and write it in both of the double lines. Very important. It's the same value that you write on both sides, because this means now our account is in balance, the two sides equal. Then step 3 said on the smaller side, okay, or on the minus side, you get the difference between the two values, because 17,700 doesn't equal 22,900. So we have to go and calculate what we need to add to make this true. And I said what you do is you take your calculator and you say the total of 22,900 minus the value that's already there, the 17,700. It gives you 5,200, and that's what you write in that line that you've left open, and you call it balance CD. Now what it means in terms of trading inventory is it means that this is the amount of trading inventory that we have left in our store that we will carry down to the next month. Okay, remember you can't start a month without trading inventory. So after everything that we've bought and after everything that we've sold, this is the value that we have left. Okay, and then step 4 said we must now bring this balance down to the opposite side on the first of the next month. So on the plus side below the double line, you write April 2020, the first day. Then you say the balance that you have brought down from last month is 5,200. And I said very, very, very important, BD must be at the beginning of the month, CD at the end of the month. And the other thing that's really important is that these two values must always be the same.